Matt, was this your idea, or how did this kind of come about?
Yeah, I just, kind of knew that, after the season in Mexico, sat down with the family and my wife and just realized, where the game was going and everything, and I could look back at my career and be proud of everything I accomplished. So looking back with no regrets, knew that it was time to move on to the next chapter, and just felt like, this is home now, and wanted to reach out to Mo and just take a chance. The worst thing is he could say no, but, the Cardinals and him made it happen, and super grateful for that.
How many times a day or a week do you get stopped in St. Louis talking about that home run off Kershaw?
More than people probably think. In our neighborhood out in Clayton, Derek's article mentioned it, but out walking our dogs every day, people, they're super nice. Everybody here. One of the reasons why I chose to make this home. So I get stopped quite a bit, but I love it. Won't change it.
Just how do you think being a Cardinal affected your life? I know that's a big question to ask, but have you thought about the path if you didn't end up here?
Yeah, I mean, I came from a small little town in central Pennsylvania, and they gave me an opportunity for a kid to chase his dream, and always knew that I had the talent to play at this level, and just super grateful that they took a chance on me. So. But no, I'm super happy for the Cardinals and everything that they've done for me and my family, and all the friendships and relationships that I've built along the way.
So what are the emotions like just of today, coming back to this building, going to the pregame ceremony, and just kind of soaking that all in, and what all that entails?
Yeah, I mean, it's super emotional. Obviously a lot of happy emotions. Wish I could put the uniform on and go back out there and play in this stadium. I love playing here and in front of Cardinal Nation. But no, every time I come back here, nothing but love and super happy to step foot inside this stadium.
So like watching that video with your family there and kind of getting an embrace at Busch Stadium again.
Yeah, it's awesome. These fans have shown nothing but love throughout my career. Even my first couple of times here on the visiting side. People reaching out before I got here and everything. But to be able to stand on the field with my family, my wife, and everybody just watching that video, it means the world to me.
Matt, have you thought about the next chapter at all, and if you'd like that to be still in baseball?
Yeah, I definitely, absolutely want to stay in baseball. My goal is to be a big league manager one day, and I think my story kind of speaks for itself. I've been a lot of places, been through a lot, and I feel like I can help the next generation kind of show them the ropes and show them how to be a true professional. So I definitely want to stay in the game.
How often do you break out those rings? How do they feel?
They're a little awkward, but no, this is probably the third time that I put them on. So they're in a nice little case in my closet on display. But I look at them every day and just super grateful that I was able to have these moments.
And what do you think about your story will resonate with underdogs and guys who are trying to make it? What will make you a good manager, you think?
I just think making the kids know that there's always a chance. Never take no for an answer. Go out there each and every day, bust your butt, work hard, and believing in themselves. That's what got me to this level and allowed me to have the career that I had. And I feel like I can give back to those kids. Working towards the same goal.
Over the last few years, when you've had some distance from it, have you and Clayton ever talked about that moment at all? Do you have a relationship with him at all?
No, I mean, after it happened, the next few years, just kind of like him giving me a smirk every time we'd see each other at the ballpark. But no, I never personally got to sit down and talk to him. Hopefully, one day, just to he's one of the best pitchers to ever put a uniform on and pitch in the big leagues. So I would love to talk to him about that moment. Not to rub it in or anything, but just caliber of guy. Not only a baseball player, but the type of person that he is. I'd love to sit down and just not only that moment, but hear all the stories that he's got about his career.
Did you ever ask for a jersey from him or anything like that?
No, I haven't done anything like that. I got the photo of the arms up in the air at home plate, framed, and you got the jersey and the bat that I did it with, framed at the house. And then that video it plays on repeat at our house. So definitely watch that for sure. But no, that was probably the best moment of my career outside of winning the World Series. But being with this organization, you know, the Braves, the Nationals, the Rockies, you know, I've been pretty fortunate to put some of the, you know, the greatest jerseys on in this game. So looking forward to the next chapter and looking forward to staying in this game for sure.
Is it meaningful for you that it was Pittsburgh tonight?
Yeah, so like we were kind of like looking at the dates and everything. So like growing up, I went to school 55 minutes from Pittsburgh. Grew up in Central Pennsylvania, so knowing that they were in town, to be able to do that, you know, my current hometown team, that gave me a shot, you know, against the hometown team growing up as a kid, definitely meaningful for sure.
Matt, what was it that made you decide that the next chapter was going to be staying in baseball? Was there anything in particular that made you decide that that was the path that you should want to stay on, and that's what you want to do?
No, I love this game so much. I got a real strong passion for this game, and you know, over the last few years, really took ownership into being, you know, a veteran mentor leadership role with the teams that I was on, and just really, you know, I really didn't want that role, but being one of the older guys on the team, the last 3 years it kind of got thrown in my way, but I enjoyed it a lot. So knowing that I enjoyed being in that role, I knew that I would be, you know, a really good manager one day.